Do it again. All right. Hey there, everybody. Okay. Let me see here. So I have a poll up for anybody that's interested. I do have a poll. Now, to sort of clarify it, because YouTube's annoying and it only lets me put like 100 words. I don't know why they didn't go with like 200 or something, but whatever, 100 words. Depending on the question, it's just like not enough. But at least in my opinion. But my point of what I'm trying to say with the question is essentially like, does knowing the person affect how you feel about the subject that got them into the tragic or negative position they're in? Like if like does it affect your level of like how does it have a deep effect on how you perceive not the fact that they're hurting, like you might care about that, but like the thing that caused it? Does it shape how you view the thing that caused it to them? I guess like a good example would be like, I don't know, some kind of like disease or something is going around, right? Like let's just say back with like COVID or something, and then somebody like your uncle or your your cousin, did you care more about it on an emotional level, or even like think about it more when that happened, or was it about the same amount of thinking about it? Whether it was a lot or very little, it didn't cause much of a fluctuation, is what I'm saying. Like on how you perceive it. It's not. So that's kind of what I want to talk about a little bit, because I've had this kind of issue, or I wouldn't call it an issue, but it's just been kind of an experience for me. And you can change your answer as I get into it further if you want. Like if what I'm saying vibes more, or I'm doing just a poor job of explaining it, or you want to wait to vote until like I explain what I mean. And like I said, you can change it whenever. It doesn't matter. Right now, it's looking like the majority's no. It's out of the 7 votes or something. Okay, so music's not too loud, right? Hopefully. I'm listening to this new album. I don't know how new it is actually, but it's really good. It's I guess it got memed. It was funny because I was listening to it before I discovered it was a meme, and I only discovered it was a meme because of the comments. Yeah, it's like it's a black metal album called Cruel World of Dreams and Fears by Drogvale. And the cover is awesome. I think it's badass because it's just so like, I don't give a fuck, I'm doing my thing. But people have been memeing it, obviously, because you can put like all kinds of like, all kinds of stuff, like all kinds of jokes or whatever regarding it. So yeah, check out if you don't like the music, just check out I put this link, check out the cover art. I think it goes pretty hard. People think it's funny. People think it's try hard in some of the black metal communities. I think it's fucking badass, and I don't know. I like this kind of weird mixture of like, it's like a black metal Prince Valiant or something. Like it's pretty cool. Anyway, but the music itself is solid. It's like really fucking good album. Really talented shit. Anyway, let me get into it. All right. So with the question, this is what I'm kind of meaning. I'll talk about my experience with this kind of stuff, and then maybe you'll get a better understanding, or you already understand what I'm saying. Who knows? Okay, so growing up, even when I was a kid, especially when I was a teen, I would say, I don't know if it got like stronger or whatever, but probably because of the detachment. But it was always like, when I would hear news in the family about, I don't know, someone got, like, let's just say, like, it's just a random example, someone got hit by a car, and they were like, they were just crossing the street and someone was speeding and they got hit by a car, and a family member passed away or something. right? Like something like that. I remember even as a kid, I would hear that, and my first thought wouldn't be, oh, my uncle that I met like twice, or aunt, or whoever, whatever it is, or that person that I met, is like, you know, gone or something. That came like secondary in my mind. The first thing that went through my head was, why do people do this? Like, why are people just having no, like, understanding that they should not be, like, speeding through and, like, skipping red lights and such and hitting a pedestrian? That's wrong. That's not okay. That's kind of messed up. We're really messed up. But it was already kind of a thought I've thought about before, because I had that thought every time I heard about it. I heard something about an innocent person getting hit by a car, like when there was but that's the thing, like that's what goes through my head, right? Like, so the first time I heard about an innocent pedestrian being hit by a car, well, technically, legally, almost all pedestrians are innocent, because, you know, they have the whatever, I can't remember what the term is, but point is, I always had that thought, and when I heard it was somebody that I had met, it didn't change the thought. It didn't make it like, oh, this particular issue is now worse in my mind. It's just as bad. It's still bad. Of course I was like, well, yeah, he seemed like an okay guy. That's really terrible to hear that happened. But it happens all the time, and I wish it didn't. Now, well, somebody might say, well, what if it happened to someone a lot closer to you, someone you did know, like let's just say like a long-time person that I've known forever, like somebody that I've considered like a friend or something. I might be obviously more affected by the fact that they've been killed by an accident or whatever. Obviously, because I had some kind of connection with that person. But I don't think it would affect my view of, if it was a negative issue that I was already aware about, and they got hurt or got killed by that issue, it won't make me think more, like, it won't make me any more angry about the issue. It's going to be like the same level, and it's usually high and frustration, and that's kind of how I would feel, I think. Even when it's happened, like, I get pissed off because it's like a reminder of something that I've already been pissed off or frustrated about. Now, if it was from something I had no idea, like, say, I don't know, there was some kind of drugs that were being laced or something, and I knew someone for a really long time that smoked, you know, just regular smoked weed, and then they got one of the bad batches and it killed them or something. I'd be like, if it was something I didn't hear about before, was concerned with before, I might be like, oh man, that's a terrible thing. Like, that's a huge concern. It's awful that it happened to the person that I'm familiar with. But my thoughts would be going toward, like, once the shock of, you know, oh, that person I knew for a very long time is now gone. It's just going to be a certain level of, like, distaste or frustration or anger for that thing, but it occurring more within my own proximity interpersonally, I don't think it'll have much of an impact on how I view those kinds of things. Like, I already have issues with it. I guess a better example would be kind of like, okay, let's just say a certain marginalized group in whatever country you live in is being mistreated in a really unfair, unjust way. Now, do you need to have a friend or someone close to your life that you've known for even like a moderate amount of time for you to care about the issue or care about that marginalized group that's suffering in some unjust, unfair way? I'm not talking about anyone or anything specific. I'm just saying, like, in general. Like, do you have to have a cousin or a friend or a sibling? Like, does having that make it any more impactful when it comes to how much you care about the thing itself? It's a really hard thing to explain to somebody that doesn't know what I'm talking about. Like, if someone I know would, say, hurt themselves irreparably because of mental health issues, right? I would be angry at the fact that it happens at all, and that and the structures and the systems and the things that and the support that was not in place, or the type of environment that was in place that exacerbated it more and more. And perhaps my impotency in being able to actually help to the quality that I would have liked to, because of, like, I don't know, proximity, distance wise, or it's just, you know, I have my own priorities, like my wife and kids. So I can't dedicate my life to, you know, stopping that occurrence from happening for that particular person. Like, you know, it wouldn't make me more upset or bothered by the idea of something like suicide. I wouldn't be like, wow, suicide really is a problem. Like, wow, I really see it now because it happened to, you know, Jimmy from next door. Or my, you know, a sibling or whatever. Yeah, it's too much empathy for the bigger picture. Is it too much? Because it does it, like, okay, that's another interesting. So can't both things be true at once? Right? Cannot the empathy I have for the individuals affected by that death, in, like, you know, if it was in the family or something, can that not be, like, sort of like compartmentalized as a different thing than my view on the thing that caused it? Like, it doesn't just suddenly matter more. That issue doesn't just matter more, right? I don't even think if it, like, I'm trying to think of how much it would impact if it was happening to me. But then that's not true, because I'm doing this channel and I'm doing this stuff, and the reason I'm doing it is it because, actually, no. I'm trying to think, like, okay, I'm the only schizoid I know in real life, right? So then, if we can point a finger at why I do this kind of work on the subjects or these types of subjects, it's because I have lived experience with it. But I also have, I'm also passionate about certain other types of causes, yet this is the one I'm doing. And I think, why? Oh, nope, it's too much because it hurts. Oh, yeah, I get you later. And I think I know. I think the reason is because it's so niche. Because, like, I could, like, and I tend to look for, like, because maybe the ADHD, I look for novelty. And then I also, like, have that sort of, that every schizoid has, the sort of sympathy for the underdog, or the oppressed, or the the thing that's like having their autonomy hurt, and there isn't anyone talking about it or caring about it in some way. Because like okay, for like the reason I'm saying this is, like, for example, why didn't I focus my activism on something like child abuse? Like, that happened to me, like, right? So how come I'm not doing that instead? Uh, uh, or the bullied, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, there you go. I was bullied at school, like, profusely. I was like school bullied all the time for years of my life. That had a definite impact on my perception of people, I'm sure. But why am I not doing anti-bullying things? And in my mind, I think it's because those things are covered. Not that they're done, but like those things are there's already people doing that. There's already people talking about that, doing it. So someone's already having that battle. No one's really doing this battle very much. And I think it's a worthwhile one. So there's that. So had a different thing I experienced or have experience in, like through living it, had happened to me that is even less recognized or understood, then maybe I wouldn't have done this. I don't know. I can't imagine, though, something being less recognized or understood than this when it comes to things that are my, like, lived experience and knowledge and interest in, because of, like, having that experience. It's interesting. I don't know. I know I'm just being confusing or whatever, but that was just talking about me. But yeah, like, okay, here's another good example. And honestly, part of the reason I'll bring it up in a second, like what it connects to and stuff. So yeah, I'll see people do this all the time. Like they'll say something, like I'll tell them about something that's like bad that's happening, and I'll be like, yeah, that's a really bad thing that's happening. It's really tragic, and the people that are trying to like fix it and stuff, you know, I'm rooting for them. And also, I'll tell other people about it so that more knowledge is spread regarding it, more awareness or whatever. Just different things. Or even on my small channel, I'll talk about it here if I feel that it is being talked about enough. Whatever, it might be something outside of the schizoid stuff, right? Whatever else. Like the other issue I constantly bring up, which is, having a different branches of psychology when it comes to neurodivergent people, because you can't treat them the same way, and you can't use a history of psychology based on neuro sort of normative thinking and experiencing and such. But anyway, sorry, I'm getting lost in my own thoughts. Classic. But yeah, I'll see people suddenly care more when it happened to their cousin or their mom or their dad or whatever, right? It'll be on their radar, like, yeah, that's a really sad thing. That shouldn't happen. But it'll just be like, that's about it, right? But then, like, if it affects grandpa, then it's like a serious problem. Then they start like taking it more seriously as a problem. And I'm wondering how the Zoids feel about that. Like, does a problem become... I guess that's the better way to put it. That's a better way to write the question. Does a problem become, like a societal problem of some kind, an event, become more problematic in your mind when it directly impacts somebody that you know interpersonally? Even if, like, you're kind of detached or whatever, but, like, you know someone that has experienced it. To be honest, I care more when it's strangers for me. That's interesting. I don't think that I don't think I care more or less. I just care. I care. You know, somebody out there might say, "Well, I don't care either way." Well, okay, that's you, I guess. But I care either way. In my own kind of somewhat clinical way, but yeah. But still the level of empathy doesn't increase regarding the issue itself, because I knew the person. Like, there's plenty of issues, you know. It's you're talking about hypocrisy, basically. Kind of. I don't know if I would call it hypocrisy as much as, because there's like there's stuff like well, there's interpersonal proximity or proximity theory. It's like a psychological concept about, or idea, that the people that are going to be in your life or closest are going to be like within your like increases based on the physical proximity of the person. So you know, obviously, because humans will gravitate toward other humans usually that they have access to, right? I didn't gravitate toward humans that I had access to. I gravitated toward humans that had the same interests, but even then, it wasn't like, it was more surrounding the activity more than anything. So I think it's connected to that idea, the proximity theory. So I think it's more like, the more interpersonally connected someone is to something, like an issue, through those connections, becomes more potent and more real in their mind, because the average person is so interpersonally focused and directed and intuitive about when it comes to that stuff. So yeah, like, I don't think it's that they don't care. It's just that their emotional attachments are more closely related to interpersonal proximity. And so like okay, if there was like a terrible war going on in like one Central American country, right? Some kind of like, I don't know, some kind of crazy civil war with the government there. Like, say it was happening in Venezuela, right? There's some crazy shit in Venezuela, right? And then there was crazy shit in Costa Rica, where my family, I guess my extended family that I don't really talk to at all, lives in, and my mom now lives there. If something crazy was happening there, my first thought would be, okay, well, let me see if they're how aware they are, and you know, what can be done to assist their situation. But that's like separate from how I view like the occurrence itself. It's more like a well, it depends on who it is. If it's people I don't really put much stock in blood. So if it's people I haven't spoken to in forever, I'm not going to care more about the situation. I'm not going to care more to contact them. Probably the only person I would contact, because I know they don't have, well, no, because they have plenty of family there. I don't know. Because then in my mind I go like, well, what's the point of contact? Like, what am I going to do? I'm in another country. What can I do to... I might ask, is there anything? And if there's nothing I can do, then I guess, oh, I forgot to ping it. Ah, it's too late. I got like 15 people here. That's pretty good. The fact that there's 15 people and I didn't ping it on the server shows that I guess my streams are maybe a little better. I have been feeling more confident in some of these things. But thank you, Beefcake. But yeah, I guess a little too late. But I'll ping you after, or I don't know. Can you? Oh no, you can't ping me anymore. What was I saying? That distracted me. Oh yeah, yeah. So that's a whole thing of like, and I see it happen all the time. It's like, oh, okay, for example, like the right now in California, that's where I live, the ice raids are crazy. Like the ice raid thing is really bad right now. It's like wild, right? And it seems it seems it seems, sorry if there's noise outside or something. It seems as if I've noticed that like people, um no, that's not what I wanted to listen to. I mean, that's cool, but I don't want to. I'm not in the mood for that. I want this anyway. Um, but like when it was happening, I was still kind of like, okay, why is it happening? How is it happening? What is it affecting? I'm actually looking at like how both sides are of the issue are interacting with each other. I'm looking at how ICE is behaving. I'm looking at how the protesters are behaving. I'm looking at how the people, there's talk of people paying off, or NGOs paying off people from other countries that are not even Mexico, Mexicans being the primary target for this sort of stuff here in Cali, or people getting paid to cause havoc and damage, like NGOs getting tied into it, basically trying, or groups that like want to do like an accelerationist sort of thing with it, like they want ICE and stuff to get crazy, and because maybe they have their own agenda, or politically, ideologically, economically, and so like I look at all these things, right, all these like moving parts, and then I something associated with it happens closer to someone's home, right? It was happening like 5 cities away, but now it's happening 2 cities away. And also, their moms, dads, whatever, just an example, friend or whatever, got that had papers, right? That were documented, were detained for like a day or a few hours, or someone in the family that was undocumented got like deported or something, right? That's when I start seeing more people treat it like a serious issue or serious thing to think about. But I also see them going into this like single-minded sort of mode about it. The nuance, the context for like why it's occurring, how it's occurring, who's at fault at which points, at what points, all the moving pieces, it becomes narrower and the emotional connection to it increases, but the view becomes narrower. And now there's less room to talk about the all the things in between, right? So like you might talk to somebody about it, like let's just say you live here and you're just a Zoid, and then somebody that now really cares about the issue on a higher emotional level because it happened to their uncle or aunt or something like that, right? I'm just using random examples. Again, I'm not going to be talking about what's going on in my life or if any of it is, but it's a good example since I'm in the state. And so if I were to approach that person, or if you were to approach that person and start trying to talk about it in this sort of like nuanced way, the subject itself, it doesn't like filter very well. It doesn't like work. It'll either cause like knee-jerk reactions or negative emotional responses, because it's now within their interpersonal proximity. Meanwhile, before it had become that, you could have probably had a more like, I guess like a more contextually filled conversation. But with someone like me, I can have it either way, because I can compartmentalize those things. I can go, my anecdotal experience is not how it should shape the whole, because that's already a mistake people constantly make in my mind, and I've seen them make it. And I likely won't make it because I don't get that interpersonal proximity issue as much, or at all. But also, if I were to, I would catch myself and be like, no, that's just because I'm angry right now. That's goofy. What are you doing? So, and and things have happened where I've done that and I've caught myself or checked myself in that way, and I'm like, no, 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 no. This is your like this is an amygdala hijack, right? Um. So yeah, I want to say, well, what are we at? We got 13 votes, 69%, 69, right? 69% say no. So 69% of people maybe are feeling it like I do. Huh. That's interesting to think about. And I know not everyone that watches me or is watching right now necessarily identifies as schizoid or whatever. They might watch me for other reasons or other stuff I talk about, which is fine. But it is interesting. I've always found it easy to understand and reason from all sides of conflicts and arguments, no matter how close to me personally. Now you got me wondering if this results from Zoid emotional detachment. It could partially be that, but I also think it's because of my other prevalent theories regarding Zoids and them being like likely macro or microsociative or neurodivergent in that way, more schizoid or autist. And so like people that are already like that, I think are probably less affected to some degree, maybe. Well, I don't know, maybe not, but to some degree perhaps they're less affected by interpersonal proximity. Like another example would be like, I don't know, fentanyl addiction, right? Or opiate addiction. Like, I already have views on stuff like that. Some are less radical than others when it comes to this stuff, but I have views on it. If someone that is in my family suddenly became an abuser of that kind of, or abuser of some kind of drug of that nature, and it's like fucking up their life, I wouldn't think like, wow, fentanyl really is a problem. Like, I'm now fired up about fentanyl use and drug abuse. It would be like, no, this is just a problem that's constantly happening, and now it's just happening here. And it's a problem that needs to be worked on, things need to be done. And I might feel angry, and I might be frustrated, oftentimes dejected and resigned because a detachment be like that. But yeah, it's weird to me. And but it's not, no, actually it's not weird. It makes sense to me because it would make sense if you're not interpersonally minded, conventional interpersonally minded, like, like the stuff that you yeah, like if that's not like your top priority, like 100, like your big priority, it's gonna have an impact on how, on what components you are emotionally attached to in association to things outside of people themselves, but like things that happen to people, right? I can't tell you how many Zoids I've talked to that like they say like, oh yeah, like people dying is like, it's a sad thing. Like they go, but they might be thinking more along those, yeah, but what did they die of, right? I think that's like a more important question in my view. It's like, what killed the person? Like, how they died would have, how they died, how old they were when they died, the life they lived up until that point, like all that stuff would have a more, um, I would have more questions about stuff like that. Oh my God. Hold on a second. Okay, is my audio back? Hello, 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 hello. Sorry, my daughter just like snooping. Normally I could hear the door open, but recently she's been trying to sneak up behind me to tell me goodnight. Yeah, big time jump scared me. But yeah, I don't want her to be on camera and shit. I don't like that shit. But I don't know how people like to do that with their kids. It's wild. Whatever. But in any case, yeah, like it wouldn't like oh yeah, I was talking about death, and like there'll be like funerals, right? Like, do funerals make you particularly sad? It's like going to one, and a lot of Zoids I've heard go like, no, it doesn't make me sad to go to, like, or they might say it does make me sad, but they would be the same level of sad for the similar reasons at any funeral. Not just because it was grandma or grandpa. Right? And so I find it like, I find that doesn't like often have as much of an impact on how sad it makes people feel. Like for example, if, you know, and these are made up names, if you know, Uncle Bob died at age 52 from ODing on cocaine, and Aunt Millie died at 52 from a drunk driver T-boning her, I would be more sad at the funeral for the T-boned drunk driver death, because that's something that is like not self-inflicted, did not it's just happenstance, occurrence, was the negligence of a human being that was not them. That funeral would be sadder for those reasons. But like, it's weird because like nobody talks about that kind of stuff either. It's like bad. It's bad, like, socially, to be like, oh yeah, this is a less sad random. Yeah, this is a less sad funeral because Uncle Bob was a cokehead that OD'd. You go there and everyone's just going to be talking about how sad it is that Uncle Bob's gone. It has no like, it might internally maybe, but it's just not a conversation that can be had, right? Like the direct, you know, the brothers or sisters of that uncle might not even be impacted. Their emotional, like, sadness might not be impacted by what did it either, right? Like, it'll be like, that's kind of like how I see like weird stuff. Like, okay, for example, let me think here. Like, it's when people like you know, they have like a son or a daughter that's involved in, like, they're doing like criminal acts and they know about it, right? They know it. Maybe they tell them not to do those things. It's dangerous. You're gonna go to jail one day. Don't do that. Don't do this, right? Right. And if that person, say, gets caught and they're doing 20 or whatever, right? The main problem in their mind is, oh my, this person's doing 20 years. It's like, it doesn't even matter what they did as much. It's just, my person is gonna do 20 years, and that's unfair because it's my person. And it's kind of where it ends. I think that's why, like, you can have things like a mother that just talks about how great her son is when he just, like, I don't know, like went on like a stabbing spree or something, killed like 5 people, right? And then it's like I'm not saying you should, like, you necessarily should hate them. Maybe you can't even hate them. But I don't understand how you wouldn't be disgusted by the action itself, or wouldn't be like part of your decision making when it comes to that. Like, whether you want that person in your life anymore. Like or just in anyone's life for that matter. Like, okay, here, let me give you an example. Like, I love my kids. I love my dogs. I love my wife. If one of my daughters was in her, I don't know, she's like, you know, let's just pretend she's 20 now, 21, right? And then, like, she has some, like, mental health issues that I'm trying to help her with, or some kind of stuff that's, like, I don't know, she's just, like, really, and this is all, like, fictional situation, that it's really, really violent for some reason. Like, she responds really violently or something, right? To, like, insults, right? Of any kind. And then, like, someone does something, like, insult them. And there's been a history of, like, oh, they get physical, right? But then one day they, like, go too far, and then the person, like, dies. Like, they, you know, they smash their head against the concrete, kill them or something, over, like, some kind of comment that was made, and they are having a particularly bad day that day. Like, I would just be like, if they went to jail, I would be sad, obviously, because I want them in my life, but I would also understand this is probably, like, a better situation overall if after an act of this kind, because it's just not like what's next after that. Like, what if it's worse next time? Right, like, it's stuff like that, or like the kid that goes on, like, you know, becomes a school shooter. Like, the moms are always crying, talking about how their son was so great and all this sort of stuff, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, feel the tragedy of, like, yes, that was the kid you brought up, and now he did something horrific, and you can be just grief-stricken with the tragedy of it, especially if you or guilt, because there might be a chance that a kid that does something like that was somehow negatively impacted by stuff you might have done. So guilt and be grief-stricken over the fact that things like this occur, and the tragedy of it makes sense. But it's weird in my mind that it's like, well, that's my kid, so now that's not right. They're giving them this much time in prison for doing this action. That if someone else's kid did it, I would be like, yeah, well, you know, you do, was it do the crime, do the time, or commit crime and pay the fine, or whatever the fuck, right? Like, somebody else might say that about, like, that neighbor's kid, right? But when it's their kid, all of a sudden it's like, oh, now it's a problem. And I find that really strange. But, like, you can do both things at the same time. You can be, like, really, really sad about that happening to your loved one, and also understand what part of their own responsibility in that occurrence is, like, measuring that. I like, okay, here's like another weird example, right? And I've seen this kind of stuff happen. It's happened throughout. Even I've seen some true crime stuff that my wife's talked to me about, because she's interested in some of the cases. She doesn't like all the photos and stuff, but she likes the cases. And, like, there'll be times where, I don't know, let me think about it. Well, besides, you know, people trying to cover up for family members for horrific crimes, which is crazy to me. Um, oh man, I had one on the tip of my tongue and like I lost it. It was about like someone like, oh yeah, like parents that have like thrown more innocent people under the bus to like pay for the crimes of their children. That's crazy. That's wild to me. Like, you're not just hurting an innocent person or, you know, falsely accusing someone else. You're also doing a disservice to your child. Because if they get away with it, the chances of it occurring again are it isn't lowered. And even then, how is that going to impact their future decision making about who takes responsibility for things and what, and it'll shape their ethics. And then more people will be hurt by your essentially like cognitive dissonance about, oh no, this is my person that this happened to. They do not have to pay for, they don't have to be responsible for their actions because that's my person. What? So that doesn't mean you don't care about the person. Those two things can be true at the same time. You can deeply care about the person and also deeply care about the issues surrounding that person in separate ways. That can happen. You know, if my kid comes in, and again, like, this is like, one's like, they're both young. One's like really little and the other one's like, other one's 14. So none of this is happening in my life. But if one of my daughters is also, again, like she's in her 20s or something and she like murdered somebody or something. Like she said like, oh, my boyfriend made me so mad. I stabbed him with a pickaxe, right? Help me hide the body. I would say, yo, okay, stay there. I'm headed your way. And then immediately report it to the police so that they can go arrest her. That's how I would react to that. And I would be grief-stricken by the fact that they did something like this and that they fucked up their life. But I'm not going to fuck up other people's lives for the mistakes of my offspring. Right? I'm not gonna like, and it, because the thing is if it was like a domestic situation and there was a defense issue or something, okay, let's go through it. Like, hiding it is just gonna make that worse. And if they're in the wrong, then they I'm not like, yeah, fuck you, my kid, go to jail. It's like, it happened. There's going to be a chain of events that are just going to get worse and worse. Even if I had decided to contribute to this cover-up. But the thing is, people just think, but do the chain of events affect me? Right? And people don't care about chains of events that affect others, which is one of the fundamental problems of how people function. One of the fundamental problems of having to live in a neuronormative society that focuses on these that doesn't have place a large emphasis on ethics, ideas, concepts. When it comes, all that shit goes out the fucking door the moment it's too interpersonally close to them. All of a fucking sudden, right? All of a sudden, the same judge that was like adamant about, making an example out of this sick fuck that did this awful thing to a kid. Like, if they find out one of their kids did it, all of a sudden, like, it's just different this time. And I think that's because the average person is so interpersonally motivated. It shapes their, like, ethics. It shapes, like, on the fly. I can't imagine that for me. I can't imagine, unless it's like a crazy, like, life or death situation where it's like, I'm hanging on another person's kid and I'm hanging on my kid and I can only lift one up. I'm gonna let go of the other kid. Like, I'm not gonna just be like, okay, what's ethical is to let both of them go. Like, that's retarded. But if I could lift them both up and the risk is reasonable, then I'll do that. I don't know. But not everyone's like that, so I can't, like, be just judging. That doesn't help either. Getting resentful or weird about it doesn't help either. Like I think about it, like, I know for sure that if my wife had to choose between me and, like, me surviving an event and, like, 3 strangers, she's gonna choose me, even though I'd be yelling, don't choose me. These are not circumstances that either party put themselves in. This is just a tragedy. Like, say, a natural disaster event type thing, right? And there's like 3-4 people over here, and it's me. I would be like, do not save me, wife. Save those people. That's 4 fucking people. I'm 1 person. Please don't choose me. Now, context. If it was me and 3, I don't know, pedophiles, that's a different situation. You know what I mean? Like, see, and that's what's interesting, Weird Loser, is that I think about that, and there's no way to, because it's like, yeah, let's just say that's a question I'd rather not discuss on stream. But I don't know, because I feel like, I don't know, that I think part of the reason I love my wife is because she's like me in that way. She's not like that about me, but she's like that about herself. I feel like she would tell me, like, to save the 3 people, and then I would oblige, and I would be destroyed by that. Because I have a feeling, because this is the other issue, right? This is the other issue. If you know the person you're saving, for example, if I were to save them instead of the 3 other innocent people in the natural disaster that have their own families and children, or especially if there's children. If there's children, I'm just gonna be like, let me go. There's a kid over there. Fuck this. She'd, like, fucking jump. She'd, like, take herself out just so I don't decide on her. She's like that about kids. I am too. But point is, like, oh yeah, if I were to save her, like, forcibly save that person, I feel like they would just resent, they'll be just fucked up for life. They're just gonna fucking constantly, every joyful thing that happens is gonna be a constant reminder of how those other 3 people are no longer alive so that they could have this slice of cheesecake. It would put so much fucking pressure on that person to live the best fucking possible, like best possible, most selfless life possible. That's what it would do to me, at least. If you want to get out of Evo Psych, people who are closer to you are more likely to share your genes. People who give you... Yeah, I know. But, like, that stuff doesn't really impact me very much. Like, I don't give a fuck about people having... Like, because there's plenty of people that have, like, similar genetics to mine, but it's, like, okay. So, but yeah, it's fucking weird. But look, I'll be honest. I'm not going to be a fucking hypocrite here, and say that I wouldn't. If it was one of my kids, fuck, that's hard. It's my kid versus like 3 adults. I don't know. Yeah, man. I'm not going to lie. But it takes, this is the thing, it takes that extreme of a situation for me to make those kinds of choices. You know what I mean? Like, I would have to be in a trolley problem type situation to make a choice like that. But that's not the level that I'm discussing, right? I'm talking more, because we kind of went off to the extremes, I'll be honest, but I'm talking more about how deeply people are emotionally connected to negative events based on the interpersonal proximity they have to that person, right? I'm always going to pick my kids over other people, but am I going to pick my kids over other people on every layer, every playing field, just to because I want them to have no discomfort in their life, or especially for things they themselves did and are responsible for? No, that's fucking insane. That's fucking crazy. Like, if somebody's in a trolley problem situation and they choose, you know, their wife over the 3 people, I'm not going to judge them. I'm not going to be like, wow, what a piece of shit you are. No. I'm going to be sad that they were even in that situation. And I'm going to be thinking, man, they're probably going to be fucked up for life about it. They were going to be fucked up for life no matter what they picked. So, I'm not, like I said, my kid versus 3 other kids, I'm going to drop the other 3 kids. But that's like such an extreme situation. But I'll be fucked up for life. And I'll be just concerned how that's going to fuck her up. And I would do everything, like with my daughter, I would do everything to make sure she understands that was my choice, even if that's not something she would have chosen. I forced that choice upon them. And then I would just be all fucked up and wrecked for life about it. I think that's how that would go. But yeah, like like I said, I'm not gonna lie. In a situation like that, yeah, I could see when it gets that fucking crazy. But in a situation where my kid did a crime, and I'm gonna like try to like help them get away, especially if it's a crime in which they hurt like an innocent individual or strip someone else's autonomy away in some significant way. Yeah, especially something like that. I'm not gonna be reporting every time they fucking run a red light and be like, oh, you didn't catch her, you better fucking give her a ticket. Like, I'm just gonna be like, all right, whatever. City doesn't get a few bucks, but I'd be fucking pissed at them for doing it, for not being careful, and the risks they could have fucking things they could have caused by making such a shit decision, right? But if, like, my kid, I don't know, was driving drunk and, you know, they show up and they're like, oh, I hit somebody, you gotta tell them I've been here the whole time. You know, they hit and ran somebody, they don't know if the person's her, or they hit and run in a different car. Fuck no, I'm not gonna be like, okay, let's just keep it on the DL that you fucking hit someone's car and there's probably people that are hurt. Murderer daughter versus street. I'm gonna stop answering these goofy hypotheticals. Now you guys are just having fun with like you guys are just gonna throw trolley problems at me. I'm not. I don't know why I went into the trolley problem. Okay, let's just drop the trolley problem stuff. Okay, I'm talking about things that are a little less absurd, or not absurd, but unlikely to happen to most people ever. Like, most people don't have to, they don't have to do, what is that, Sophie's Choice. Like, most people aren't doing a Sophie's Choice. If you know Sophie's Choice, it's like if I remember correctly, it's like a World War II, like, Holocaust, type situation in which, like, a mother is made to choose between her two kids, which one dies. I think that's Sophie's Choice, if I remember. Because they're basically, like, saying pick one. Right? And, pick one or it's both, basically. And, like, that's not going to happen to most people in most of their lives, unless something like that happens. And even then, it would be a small population. But, so yeah, it can't be the trolley problem standard. That's goofy. That's too much. I don't know why I went too far with that. I know I would be an aberrant person in the sense that I'd be like, let me die and not these other people. But then again, maybe a lot of Zoids would say that because they're probably just like, the sacred deer. Well, the sacred deer. Yeah. Is that a sacred deer? What does that mean again? But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna, like, yeah, if you give me extreme situations, I'm gonna pick my kids, yeah. But then you get to, like, even more insane situations which would impact that. Like, if you're like half the human population or your kid, I'm not picking over half the human population. So many people, so many dude, like, there'd be no amount of conversation or therapy that would keep your kid from, like, at some point, because there's no way you're just gonna live with, oh yeah, half of the human population, like, dad, you'd have like a Last of Us type situation. Like, man, by the way, that second season's kind of like balls. So far it was fucking balls. That makes sense. I mean, the game sucked too, so whatever. So it makes sense. I guess they're being true to the source. I snapped them, chat. Okay. I don't know what that means. But in any case, yeah, if we get into trolley problems, it just gets goofy. But yeah, like, it's just, yeah, I don't know. That's dumb. Like, when is there gonna be when am I gonna have a situation like that? Plus, the one in Last of Us is really dumb. If you don't want spoilers, like, don't listen to the next minute and a half, but or mute it. But the Last of Us situation is so fucking stupid, because even in the game, one doctor figured out the cure, and all they need is the fucking brainstem or fucking whatever of the person who has immunity. That's fucking dumb, dude. That's dumb. Like, if they said, oh yeah, well, we gotta take out your kid because there are cures in them. Like, bro, we're in, like, a crazy, like, dystopia fucking, like, how the fuck are you gonna do this? How the fuck are you gonna, like, Ellie, how the fuck are you gonna remove Ellie's fucking body parts and shit and figure out the cure without all the fucking tech? Like, to even do something, and the amount of research that would require, and testing, and like, what are you gonna do? Make a serum? And you have one test subject to work with? That's why that one was always really dumb to me, because it was always like even in the show version, like, could they have really saved all those people if I would have died? And they're like, yeah. It's like, how the fuck do you know, Joel? You're just a fucking guy. He wasn't a fucking, like, some kind of fucking scientist about this shit. Like, man, the grandiosity of the doctor that he ends up shooting in the head, stopping. Like, from thinking, oh man, I'm a super fucking genius. I don't have any of the tech from the past, but I'm so fucking big brain. I'm gonna get one person, this one person that has the fucking immunity, and I'm gonna fucking figure it out. I'm gonna fucking figure it out. Zombie show with almost no zombies. Look, I'll agree with that. In the sense that, like, when you're playing the game, obviously it's not the case. There's fucking zombies everywhere and things to deal with everywhere. The second one had a lot less zombies, fungus zombies, in my opinion, that were interesting. But yeah. But yeah. Even in the show, it's like almost just the real monsters are us. It's like, all right, we already did that with The Walking Dead. Can we, like, okay, I get it. Captain Kirk would have put Spock and Bones on it and got it done. Yeah, well, yeah, but Captain Kirk, he's in like a fucking goddamn, like, warp speed fucking ship, and they have replicator technology. You know what I mean? That's a different situation to be in. Now, if there was one person and the body of that one person dying can save an entire planet's population, right? And they had like Star Trek level fucking tech, then I'd be like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, I could see that. You couldn't even do that now. And they're in a fucking like a fucking destroyed fucking post-apocalyptic type world. Like, motherfucker, how you gonna do that with one fucking person? Like, get the fuck out of here. You don't even have enough tissue samples. Like, it's just crazy to think that. I always thought that was such a narrative, like such a story goofy thing. Nah, I can't. Only Q. Oh, Q? Don't say that on the internet. By the way, Thunderson means Q from Star Trek, not like QAnon. Okay? Before everyone gets their fucking panties in a bunch. Yeah, no, Q's... That guy was fucking funny. But he was lame, too. Like, it was funny, because how much of a loser he was for, like, a cosmic being. He was just such a boring loser. He said funny things, but he was just like, he was kind of an idiot. So I always thought it was a funny character to give, like, some being that's almost omnipotent, like making all kinds of low IQ fucking decision making, like super narrow perspectives, like really like pompous about his like place in like the cosmos. Like, it's just such a goofy. I'll be honest, I found the character charming and fun, but I never liked that as part of the Star Trek universe. I never liked that. That's like some Doctor Who shit, and that's fine for Doctor Who, but for Star Trek, I never liked like when things got too cosmic-y like that. Like it just got a little goofy for me. Like, it's like, yeah, Star Trek's and metaphysics, really? Like, come on, let's keep Star Trek like a little more like STEMmy, even if it's just like science fiction, like Star Wars. Okay, yeah, Star Wars is, you got magic powers and shit and Force ghosts and stuff. Like, yeah, that's Star Wars is like it's just a fucking, it's like a fantasy with lightsabers, you know, whatever. But like Star Trek, nah, man, I would hate it when they introduce stuff like that in Star Trek. Even in the old shows, like when they would have an episode about like, oh, maybe there was a ghost. And it's like, okay, I get it. Like, maybe it was a ghost. But, yeah, come on, that's not the Star Trek vibe. Like, the Star Trek vibe is like, other people are on the planet or whatever are going like, demons, and then like, you know, the Enterprise shows up and be like, this shit ain't fucking demons. Check this shit out. Science fiction tools. And then they find out, oh, it's not demons. It's like some kind of alien life that existed and burrowed inside that planet, you know, millions of years ago, and, you know, finally was born. Oh, wait, that's the plot to Neon Genesis Evangelion. Just realized. So, so yeah, like shit like that. It just doesn't belong in Star Trek. Like, oh, you know, you can't scientifically, even like with science jargon, you can't explain Q. That's like boring. It's like, okay, so he's just fucking God. Okay, cool. Like that's dumb. That's boring. Like, anytime I imagine a being that's that powerful, even a guy, like, let's just say another character that's like more, I gotta stop the stream. You guys got me nerding out. Even a character that's like more serious, right? Let's just say a more serious version of somebody like Q, right? Dr. Manhattan, if you know anything about, like, you know, Watchmen or the comic or the movie or fucking whatever. Dr. Manhattan is it's appropriate that he's blue because it's just fucking just a big old fucking downer. But Dr. Manhattan takes his like semi omnipotence or whatever, or, you know, god super god abilities. He takes them with a little more nuance and stuff. Though, like, he doesn't really realize some very simple things until, like, a lot of bad shit happens, which is really stupid to me. That's why I was always like, man, I wish a smarter guy got turned into Dr. Manhattan. Like, oh man, if somebody's gonna get turned into Dr. Manhattan, don't just let it be the guy who's in a STEM field that requires a lot of intellect, but hasn't done much thinking on any other departments. You know, especially, you know, ethics wise or anything like that, or philosophy of any kind, or blah blah blah. Like, they're just like, I'm really good at nuclear physics. And it's like, and my IQ's 145 or 155 or 160. I don't want that guy to turn into Dr. Manhattan. That's a terrible idea. And I definitely don't want a guy like Q in Star Trek to turn into a Dr. Manhattan. It's an even worse idea. I don't want anybody to turn into Dr. Manhattan, first of all. But if somebody did turn into some like god of some kind, I would want somebody that's like really intelligent, high on emotional intelligence, you know, has done, you know, is in their, you know, 65 or 70, has lived a lot of life, has seen a lot of tragedy, has developed a significant amount of understanding, empathy, has understands things in a high level of context or something, you know, has seen some shit but has learned from the shit he's seen. That's the guy who I would want turning into Dr. Manhattan. Like, I'm cool with him being like, you know, 130 IQ, not the guy that's like 170. Like, I'll take the 130 guy if he's got all that other stuff in his pocket. Right. So, anyway, that was a complete tangent. Thanks for that one, guys. All right, I'm out of here. I don't know what I was talking about, and I'm stupid. So don't listen to anything I say. But if you like to listen to what I say, and you like hearing a stupid person talk, please subscribe, please like, please join my Patreon. Please give me your money because I can use it. Donations are appreciated through PayPal or Patreon. And if you want a service, if you're like EQ over IQ, not always, depends on the situation, but I'd like, if they're going to become a godlike being, I would like them to be high on both. But not like not min-maxing one. You know what I'm saying? I don't want either one to get min-maxed. I want it just to both be decently high. I want both to be A tier and neither S tier. That's okay. That's okay. Or even two. I'll take a B or double B tier over like one S tier and like one fucking D tier situation. Right. Anyway, but yeah. Oh, but if you want like a service, like you're like, what are you gonna do for fucking me, Angst? Give me my goddamn like I do offer like Zoid like life coaching stuff for her schizoid, or you want to hear from a schizoid about what they think about your situation, or you just want, if you're a Zoid that just wants to be able to bounce ideas and discuss things that you can normally not discuss with other people. No, nothing illegal, but I'm talking about like nobody's interested. I'm down to talk about just about anything, any subject, as long as it's not like fucking your weird, gross shit about like, oh man, I really got to talk about my, sexual fetishes with somebody. Like, no, I don't want that shit. If it's like integrated into like the issues you want to discuss, that's fine. But you know what I mean. Like I'm not a clinical psychologist. I'm not a therapist. I'm not any of those things. I'm just a guy that's experienced a lot, has done a lot, and has studied a lot on the subject of schizoid stuff, and just had a lot of discussions, and I'm kind of obsessed about this stuff. So, yeah, if you want to talk to someone like that, hit me up on Discord. I charge, which I don't think somebody else told me like, wow, you should charge more. But I'm like, no, schizoids are like broke. Most of them don't have a lot of money and not in it to get rich. I'm just trying to make a living. Is like $50 an hour. So, like, if you want to make the most out of that hour or whatever, like, just have a fucking little table of have a little chart ready. Be like, okay, let's move on to the next question. Like, I don't care. I won't be bothered by that shit. Like, I won't be bothered by like, oh no, you interrupted me. I wanted to keep talking about that. Nah, if you're like, okay, 10 minutes up on that question, can we move on to the next one? I'm trying to get more bang for my buck here. I'd be like, yeah, okay, let's go. I would not be bothered by that at all. So, or if you want to just have a loosey-goose conversation, that's fine by me. It's all good. It's all good. Any case, yeah. Thanks a lot, guys. And as usual, oh yeah, before I say that, please post if you see my streams and you're like, I like this part of it, and you clip it and then you put it places, good. If you decide, oh man, this was such a great stream, I'm gonna make a little clip compilation, you send that to me. I look at it, I go, yeah, pretty good, and then I'll thumbnail, I'll throw that shit up on the fucking channel, like straight up. Like, I don't give a fuck. Whatever helps the work I do. All right, peace out, and as usual, when day is dark, always remember, happy day.